Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to review animations. And the ways that I want to review animation is let's give our character a walk cycle. And then let's also give some environmental objects, some animations. And we're going to go over some really important concepts here. So first is I'm going to try to figure out what the hell sprite we're using here. So game making assets, it's called player 127. I'm going to see if this one has alternate sprites. It might not. If it doesn't have a run cycle, then I'm going to find an asset that does have a run cycle. And basically what animation does is we're going to do frame by frame animations, meaning one frame it's going to be standing, the next one it's going to have its leg up, then it's going to be walking, just like we saw in John's. No, it looks like all we have is standing, front, and then to the side. So let me open up this location. Oh no, we got walking. 125, 26, we already have 27, and we have 28. So you're usually going to get two things or two options. One is that you're going to get these separate PNGs, separate images, and you're going to have to manually change them. Or sometimes, like John was talking about, you're going to get a sprite sheet. And the sprite sheet just gives us all of these animations in one. And this is a very, very efficient way to do animations. It's how most teams do animations because now instead of 4 files, I only have one to deal with. Okay, it's a lot more compressed. It just, it's just a lot better. But anyways, we're going to do it this way. So let's take a look at my player. And really what we're going to be changing is the sprite and the sprite renderer. So I want to see what we got here. Oh, we got some nice blurry images. Great. So let's import settings, super important. Let's choose the objects I just brought in. Let's make their filter mode point, meaning no filter, and let's apply that. So now if I change my sprite, we can have him walk around. Okay, great. So it looks like he's going to go front, then left hand forward, front. Are these exactly the same? Lame. Then left or right hand forward. Cool. So the quickest and best way that I make animations is first I'll make a folder to store all this in, and I'll call it anims because we're probably going to make a bunch of them. And then I'm going to click on my player, and then I'm going to click the animation window, not the animator window. Animator window we'll use in a second, but I click animation, and we don't have an animator on this character. So I can actually create an animator and a clip in one click by clicking create. Okay, and I'm going to call this walk front because walking to the left and to the right is going to be maybe walk side. So walk front. And I'm going to save it in my anims folder. Now, because Unity is smart and presumptive, it already has our clip, walk front, right here. And if we go to our animator, we can see that it's going from entry, meaning when you press the play button, or actually it means when the game object turns on. It's going from entry into walk front. And we don't really want to do that. I mean, let's do it for now just to see, but we are going to create an idle state that is the separation between those two states. So for walk front, we can do a couple things. One way to do this is we can go to assets, click and drag to select all of these. and we can just drop them here. Drop them right on our timeline. So now if I press play, he's really animating there. He's moving fast here. Cool. There used to be a really nice way to elongate this, but instead we can just click and drag this to like, let's go with 50. And these are not in the correct order, so we're going to have to do some modifying ourselves. Great. So what's happening, what's actually happening, we can see it if we select the player, is as our animator moves forward, it is changing the sprite in the sprite renderer when it gets to certain keyframes. Okay, and this is important to understand because we could do a lot more than just change the sprite. For example, if we go into record mode, we can change the scale. We can like add a key here, and then when it gets to here, it turns to like 5.1. Actually, let's make it huge so you can see the difference. It can go 10.10, and then it can go back down to 5.5. We can see that the animation timeline can do a lot. Pretty much any one of these variables, both on the game object and as a child of the game object, can change. So I can animate the sword in this same clip. I can change my sword to be like, I don't know, let's make its rotation wacky. So we'll add a key for this and we will rotate it, 360. But let's add 360 to it. So it's 97.95. Just say plus 360. Great. So now if we play this clip, the sword's spinning around in our hand. Okay, and these are kind of dumb things that I'm doing just to show you how it works. I'm going to undo with Control Z a bunch, get rid of the scale property. That's something we don't need. And yeah, let's figure out what's going on with this animation because it's a little wonky. So we're straight, right foot, straight, left foot. And here's the problem. The problem is we're on the left foot for like less than a second, and then it loops back to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control C, copy this keyframe, and I'm going to move over and paste it. And I want it to be about equal distance for all of these. So from here to frame, let's make this easier math. Let's say frame 15, and this is going to be frame 30. Then 30 plus 15 is 45, and then we get to 60. Okay. And now if I press play, it's going to look less janky. He's walking. Great. So if we press play in our game and we go to the game window, he's walking. I don't know where I do know where our sword went. And now we have a walk animation. But of course, what's silly about this is it's not stopping. It's always walking. Okay, so what we're going to do is, and we can check in the Animator window what state it's in. Okay, if I click another game object, we might not be able to see, but if we click the player, we can see that it's in the walk front anim or the animation clip, and it's looping that clip. Okay, so I can change the speed of that if I want him to walk faster. Or if I want him to walk slower. And this can be helpful. You can change these values in code as well. So if they're walking on like quicksand, maybe you want the speed to be 0.5 instead of 1. Okay, but anyways, what I'm going to do is from the animation window, you can also do it in the animator, but I like to do it in the animation window. I'm going to click this drop down, create new clip. I'm going to save it in anims, and I'm going to call it player idle. And you see that it not only did it create it in my anims folder and switch to it in the animation window, it also created the clip in my Animator window. And all we're going to do is we're going to right click this and set it as the default state. So right click player idle, set as default state. Now if we press play, our character is going to be in the player idle state. And it's just going to loop that state over and over, which in the game view is nothing. Okay, so let's give the player idle something to do. I don't want to change the scale because that'll mess with the box collider. But let's see. Rotation's going to look weird. Don't worry about player idle for now. We will do player idle. We'll do an idle animation for another sprite. We don't have the sprites right now to mess with it. And I don't feel like opening up Photoshop. What we could do is I could open up Photoshop or a sprite and just make his head bob up and down and his arms go, up and down. Very simple animations there. But instead, what we're going to focus on is a transition. How do we get from player idle to walk front? Okay, and that is with parameters. So in the Animator window, we have parameters, and we can click plus and add any one of these parameter types. Float might be useful if you're working with velocity. So if you're saying like hold forward to run, and if the character's speed is greater than 2, then play the run animation. Otherwise, play the walk animation. I'm just going to use a Boolean, and the Boolean's going to be is moving. Okay, and we're going to say right click player idle, make transition to walk front, and then we're going to click the transition itself. We're going to uncheck has exit time. We don't need it to have exit time, but we do need a condition. So I'm going to click the plus key, and it automatically knows. Is moving is true? Yeah, that's when we want to move from player idle to walk front. And of course, we need a transition going the opposite direction. So I right click, walk front, go down to player idle, and this transition, no exit time. The condition is when is moving is false. Okay, so now we need to talk to the animator in code. We're going to go to our click to move script. Open that up. It's a simple script that moves the character places on the screen. And we are going to talk to the animator. Again, it's important to distinguish between the animator component that's on the game object, which is right here, the animator, and the animation, which is the clip that's inside of the animator. So click to move. What we're going to do, I'll make this a little bit bigger and I'll zoom in. What we're going to do is we're going to have a public animator, and we'll call it anim. And then in start, we'll say anim equals get component. Animator. Is moving is true. We already have a Boolean in our script that says when it's moving. All we have to do, I'm going to put this in a separate function because animation functionality can get really unwieldy. But first, I'll just do it in update first. I'll do it at the end of update. So update animation info or logic. And basically what we want to say is anim.setBool. And then we have to give it, figure out the name that we called it. And we called it is moving. And then we tell it what Boolean to be set as. We could also say true or false, but you know, I'm just going to say is moving. So we're saying the string is moving, which is right here, is moving. This value is equal to the Boolean is moving on the click to move script. So when this is checked, this is checked. When this is not, this is not. Okay, so let's just test it because that's, I mean, it's one line of code. See if we got it. I'm going to click the animator so we can keep an eye on where it is. And we see that when it's moving, it moves to walk front. And then when it's not moving, it goes to player idle. And this is not like, this is far from perfect. And in order to make your animations perfect, it's going to take some time and some, you know, knowledge. I just mess around with all of these values and settings. Okay, so for example, I turn off fixed duration. The duration offset should be 0. The duration percent should be 0. So then when it really gets to its destination, it just stops. Instead of making it like, if we made this 0.75, we can see that when we get to the destination, it still keeps going unwalked. So I'm going to make duration 0%. And then I'll do this with the other one as well. So I want it to just start running immediately. I don't want any lag in my animations, especially in a 2D game. Animations are super important, or a game that uses 2D sprites. Cool. All right, now let's talk a little bit about environmental objects and animating those. Yeah, we still got 10 minutes, so we're good. I'm gonna find in my game making assets, I'm gonna find environment. Got a lot of environment folders. Okay, we got these cacti. Yeah, let's do that. The cactus kind of fits. So let's drop, first of all, we need to change the cactus to point filter, I'm guessing. Point, apply. And let's drop it into the scene and make it a little bit smaller. Okay, so you might be tempted to just slap an animator on it and be done with that. But I want to show you a better way of doing this because I'm not even going to show you the issue that it's going to arise or that's going to arise. I'll just explain it. The animator is precise and it is like annoyingly precise and annoyingly it does everything that you tell it to do and nothing else. So if I were to tell this to go up and down and like change its position a little bit, then I can't copy paste it because all of them are going to try to go up and down in this area right here. So one way we can fix that is to make an empty game object, place the cactus in that empty game object. I'm going to call it like cactus parent. And then I'll make the cactus 0, 0, 0. So it's right on top of the empty game object. I'll also make it 1, 1, 1, just so we have everything is default. And now we can move this cactus parent around. And I mentioned this before, but you might not have caught it. We can click create. We could put an animator on the cactus and we'll call it like cactus bounce. Okay, now that we have an animator on the cactus, we already have the animation clip, cactus bounce. We can click record, and anything that is a child of the parent, we can mess with. So I can take this child and, we can right click scale and add the key here. So now it starts at 1, 1. And then in 20 seconds, we can get a little bit smaller, like squash it down a little bit. And then by 40, we can go back up to the original value where this was 0 and this was 1. Okay, now if we press play, it squashes a little bit. Not the most amazing animation ever, but it's better than, honestly, it's a little bit better than nothing. Okay, we can even go in the animator, click on my cactus parent, get this animation cactus bounce, and we can like change it to a different value. First of all, this cactus needs to be higher order and layer. And this Z needs to be greater than that. But if I go in my animator, we can change this bounce to like less than 1 if we wanted to. When we press play, we have a bouncing cactus. Like I said, maybe we want it half speed to really show that it's hot. Oh shit, we're rotating, boys. Oh boy. New game. And the beauty of this is it is it's animating its child. So I can duplicate this and move it over here. And duplicate it again and move it over here. And duplicate it and move it over here. And now we have all these objects that are animating in our world. All right. Questions? Issues? Other things you'd want to learn about the animator? Okay. The other thing you should know about the animator is that is really makes use of the parent object having the animator animating all of its children is UI elements. So quickly I can make a canvas and sure, screen space overlay. Right over that canvas, I can make a 2D object, which no, I'll make a UI, which is an image. And I'll make that image really skinny, like 10 high and really wide. I'll duplicate it. And we'll duplicate both of these and rotate them. let's rotate them using the rotate tool. That's better. Cool. Let's make it like this, and let's make a quick little effect. Maybe when your character powers up, you want to do this effect on the screen. I can drop an animator on my canvas. It needs a clip, so I'll go to animation and create a clip, and we'll call this like canvas anims or UI anims. And let's say this first clip, UI anims will be our idle state. And let's quickly make another clip called critical attack. Okay. And I'll make a Boolean called crit attack. I'll zoom in, create a transition to go to critical attack and a transition to go back. For this one, no exit time, condition critical attack is true. For this, let's just have an exit time. And the exit time will be like 1.5 seconds. Okay. And so let's do the critical attack animation. Give me a second. In the game view, we see it. We want these images to be off screen during the UI animations. So let's move them. I'm going to go up to my canvas. And my canvas is how big? How big is my canvas? Right there. Great. I'm going to move. You know what? I don't like overlay. Let me not do overlay. It's too annoying. I'm just going to do camera. So let's drop our main camera here. And now we get a much better view of what's going on here. Because now we can see the canvas around my character. So this is the UI anims right here. This is nothing, right? This is our idle state. I'm going to move this one all the way off to the left. I'm going to move this one all the way off to the right. I'm going to move this one off top, and then I'm going to move this one off bottom. Okay, not a sophisticated animation. They're just staying here off screen the whole time. But when we go to critical attack, let's make them all go in. So if I click play, I'm pretty sure this will work. If not, we can explicitly put the keyframes in. But if I put critical attack as true, they all go in. And then if I say it's false, then they go away. And actually, we might not even need a Boolean for this. We can use a trigger, because a trigger will turn off right away. So let me change this to not critical attack. Let's just change it to critical attack trigger. Right, so now if I go back to my game, and again, you do need to access these via code. Instead of saying set bool, you just say set trigger, give it the name, the string, which is crit attack, and you click it. Boom. Pretty cool, right? No, maybe not. Maybe everyone's doing their own thing.